All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. We do apologize. We've had some little technical hiccups here, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for your patience this evening. I'd like to bring this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Southfield City Council being held August 17th, 2020, beginning at 6:11 p.m. via WebEx. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Banks,
Present.
Brightwell,
Here.
Hoskins,
Here.
Mandelbaum,
Present.
Morris,
Present.
Taylor,
Here.
and Cruz. He's trying to get here. He's here, but not on the line. He's trying to connect. So, Madam President Pro Tem, you do have a quorum, and we do have the mayor on the line, city administrator, deputy city administrator, city attorney, and a few other department heads. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Next, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll go ahead and recite that this evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Our first agenda item looked like there's a series of presentations to be presented by our mayor and our council president, a series of joint resolutions. The first one being the Community Commitment Days, June 19th through August 25th, 2020.
Good evening, Council President Pro Tem and council members. This is Ken Cyber. About a week or two ago, I was contacted by the 400 Years of African American History Commission. Just to give you a little bit of background, this commission was signed into law in January of 2018. It established a 15-member commission to coordinate the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the first enslaved Africans in the English colonies. The Commission's purpose is to plan, develop, and carry out programs and activities throughout the United States that recognize and highlight the resilience and cultural contributions of African Americans over 400 years, acknowledge the impact that slavery and laws that enforced racial discrimination have had on the United States, to encourage civic, patriotic, historical, educational, artistic, religious, and economic organizations to organize and take part in anniversary activities, to assist states, localities, and nonprofit organizations to further the commemoration, and to coordinate public scholarly research. And so they're asking communities across the United States to approve a resolution of commitment. And so I'll read this. Whereas on June 19, 2020, best known as Juneteenth, the Freedom Day, marked the 155th anniversary of the arrival of Union General Gordon Granger in Galveston, Texas, where 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, African Americans learned of the end of their enslavement. And whereas since the federal enactment in January 2018 of Public Law 115-102, through its sunset in June 2021, the 400 Years of African American History Commission will fulfill its charge to educate the public about and recognize and highlight the resilience and contributions of African Americans since 1619, and to acknowledge the impact that slavery and the laws that enforced racial discrimination had on citizens of the United States. And whereas on August 25th, 2020, we write new history as we acknowledge another year since the 400th anniversary observance of the first documented arrival of Africans in the American colonies, by looking forward to confront differences between the concept of freedom versus the reality of freedom. And whereas Americans must never forget or repeat the vivid and tragic examples of African American history which expose the dehumanizing impact of racial violence from chattel enslavement to contract leasing of prisoners, from thousands of lynchings to racial massacres in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921 and Rosewood, Florida in 1923, from segregation to voter disenfranchisement, from mass incarceration to wrongfully inflicted violence upon the innocent who fought for freedom, as captured by media in Selma, Alabama at the Edmund Pettus Bridge, or the images of children, now parents and grandparents, who in Birmingham, among countless other examples, endured the bites and anguish of unleashed dogs. And whereas we must collectively strive to close gaps of immeasurable distance between us and affirm the promise of the Declaration of Independence that all people have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and hold that the purpose of American government must be to secure these rights for all, whereas we must reject acts of violence and expand opportunities to understand and learn from our frank and complex conversations, and whereas Juneteenth through August 25th this year will serve as benchmarks to encourage individual and collective reflection and transformation. Whereas it is through leadership encouraged that we each have a responsibility to confront entrenchments which perpetuate injustice and the threat to America's true greatness. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Mayor and Council, City of Southfield, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, do hereby resolve June 19th through August 25th as a period of reflection, cultural and public awareness, earnest assessment, planning, and commitment to end systemic racism in all forms of dehumanization, which threatens the equality and freedom of all. And I respectfully join municipal leaders across the country that we endorse in a spirit of solidarity and encourage all Southfield residents to join in this effort. I'm asking for approval by the council, and I would just add that we've had a lot of discussion, and there needs to be a lot more. But unfortunately, the death of George Floyd had to occur before we have the level of engagement that we're seeing today. So once again, this is a request from the 400 Years of African American History Commission under the National Park Service, and ask for council endorsement.
Madam Pro Tem, this is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes, Mr. Mandelbaum?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the joint resolution of Community Commitment Days of June 19th through August 25th, 2020.
Support. This is Councilman Brightwell.
It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum and supported by Councilman Brightwell that we support the joint resolution of the Community Commitment Days. Madam Clerk, can you take the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks, yes.
presentation of the joint resolution, the Community Commitment Days, June 19th through August 25th, 2020, adopted.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize, everyone, for being tardy. I was having some problems on my computer here. So good evening, everyone. We'll move on to the next presentation of the joint resolution for women's right to vote, 19th Amendment anniversary.
Yes, I'm asking for council to support joint resolution observing the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote. Whereas women's suffrage movement started before the Civil War, however, it would take until August 26th 1920 for the U.S. Congress to add the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, granting women the right to vote. Whereas, generated because of lower wages, poor working conditions, and limited opportunities for women in the workplace, the women's rights movement united women across the United States in a peaceful campaign to fight for equal rights and privileges which were available to male citizens. And whereas women's suffrage movement was a mass movement with diverse voices from every field of business and labor, many of whom were abolitionists and included the needed support from male state legislatures and members of Congress. And whereas Congress approved the 19th Amendment with bipartisan support, changing the world for generations of women to receive better working conditions, improved wages, and equal rights. And whereas the month of August is set aside to highlight the contributions of women to in American history and modern day society, and whereas in commemoration of the passage of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution granting women the right to vote, we recognize and commend the women who led the peaceful campaign among women for the right to vote. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Mayor and Council, City of Southfield, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, do hereby recognize August 2020 as the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment of women's right to vote in the City of Southfield. And we encourage citizens in Southfield to join in this celebration of this historic milestone.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilwoman Morris. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the joint resolution for the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment of women's right to vote.
Support.
Moved by Ms. Morris, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we approve the joint resolution of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, women's right to vote. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Hoskins,
Having technical problems there. Yes.
Vanderbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell.
Yes.
Presentation of joint resolution 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, women's right to vote, has been adopted.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Mayor, got one more?
Yes, and I'd just like to add, before we move on to the next resolution, that we will be, now that we have an improved lobby, next month through the end of the year, we will have a 19th Amendment anniversary display in our lobby. So look forward to that. And then finally, the third resolution, this is really a housekeeping issue. Council will recall that we discussed a welcoming city resolution. Matter of fact, it was on the agenda for April 24th, 2017. And in our discourse, as the clerk pointed out, we failed to adopt the resolution. So we're bringing this back before you this evening so that we may have a vote on this. In the interest of time, I will not read the entire resolution, but just a couple of highlights. The City of Southfield believes in the innate dignity of all people and acknowledges, honors, and values our immigrant and migrant roots, embraces the values of family, faith, and hard work. The city celebrates diversity and recognizes the invaluable contributions of our social, religious, cultural, economic landscape have come from a wide variety of racial and ethnic backgrounds. City of Southfield and the southeastern Michigan region as a whole has long been home to immigrants from around the world who come seeking opportunity, stability, prosperity, and a better way of life. I will skip much of the rest of this just to say that we passed this resolution because of our discomfort with some of the national dialogue about immigration. And we wanted to show in Southfield that we are a welcoming city. We welcome immigrants. We hope that they can share in the American dream. And we also send this as a message that we are joining the National Welcoming Cities and Counties initiative that came about because of some of the, I'll use the term ugly rhetoric that was happening in 2017 as well as continues today. So I'm asking council to officially adopt this time.
Okay. Council? Council, do I have a motion?
Councilwoman Banks.
Yes, Ms. Banks.
I make a motion that we support the joint resolution, Southfield, a welcoming city.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by Ms. Banks, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we approve the joint resolution of the previously introduced Southfield being a welcoming city. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
All right, joint resolution Southfield welcoming cities has been adopted.
All right, great. And just for the public to know that we also do have 3 peace poles that are coming to the city very soon that I think align quite squarely with this particular resolution because it does show our diversity and our welcomeness to all people in all backgrounds and ethnicities. So just be on the lookout for those. There'll be more to hear about that shortly. All right, Mr. Mayor, you have some appointments. Are these all yours? Yes.
I'm asking the council to approve the appointment to the Southfield Public Arts Commission of Brian Crago. And I would note here that Mr. Crago has served on the Art Commission as the designated Lawrence Technological University liaison. And because he is no longer with the university, he stepped down. So I am appointing him to a vacancy on the commission. I will come back to the council with once they hire his replacement. I think we're very close to that. So just note that Mr. Crago has served, he's done well, and I'm asking for his appointment this evening. I'm also asking for the reappointment to the Public Arts Commission of Jay Reed. I'm asking for the appointment to the Planning Commission of Geraldine Stephens-Gunn. I'm also asking for the appointment to the City Center Advisory Board of Gene Spector. And I would note that Mr. Spector is a chief executive with Morelli that is moving into Southfield. Obviously, we, on the City Center Advisory Board, we have numerous people who represent leading businesses or realty entities in the city of Southfield. Mr. Spector wants to get involved and get Morelli involved with our community. So I'm asking for his appointment to the City Center Advisory Board to fill a vacancy. And finally, I'm asking for the reappointment to the Historic District Commission of Barbara E. Macbeth. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Council. The mayor's made his recommendations for appointments.
This is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes, Mr. Mandelbaum.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the appointments as stated by the mayor.
But we
Before,
make that motion. I do want to ask a question. This is Councilwoman Morris.
Okay.
The appointment to Planning Commission, Geraldine Stevens gone. We received a lot of emails today from residents regarding the replacement. And although I know this is the mayor's appointment, I just wondered if we could ask the mayor his positioning on the why the person that got removed was not reappointed.
Well, I'll let him speak to that. I don't think he wants to, believes he should comment in public forum in that way, but Mr. Mayor, would you like to respond to Ms. Morris?
I thank Dr. Denson for her service, and this is a new appointment. Her term expired, and Dr. Geraldine Stevens Gunn has wanted this appointment, so I don't want to go into any other details because I don't think it's appropriate.
No, and again, I did reference the fact that this is your appointment, but just wondered what your reasoning or thoughts were on her positioning. So thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, and I'm sorry, was that Mr. Brightwell?
Yes.
With the
Yes.
second of the appointments as presented by the mayor. Is there anything else before we vote? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Morris,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum.
Yes.
Appointments as stated by the mayor have been approved.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Before we go into consent agenda, I want to ask the mayor if he wouldn't mind just giving us a real brief background on item C that's under the consent agenda about the public school cross access easement. Because we did get some questions about that too, and I think that you kind of very adequately explained what's happening here. Dr. Green was here last week and gave the presentation already, but if you could just give us a little synopsis, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. As you all know, and for the listening public, this is a request. It was not city-generated request. It was generated by the Southfield Public Schools. They have hundreds of people who use the South Driveway every day. It's the only in and out to the school board office. It's also where the buses are kept. As I mentioned to some of you, if there was an emergency and they could not exit for some reason, a horrific accident, a fire, any kind of natural or civil disaster, they wouldn't be able to move the bus fleet, which would necessitate not moving children to safety. So in an examination of this situation, the school district has proposed on its property a driveway that would only be used in the very highly unlikely event of an emergency where the south driveway was not passable. And so they are proposing to go through property that they owned to the cul-de-sac at the end of Green Valley. Again, this request comes from the school district. It was not a city-generated request. I will also add that Councilman Brightwell and I think Councilwoman Banks last week wanted to make sure that the community was well informed of this. And so following Council's directive last Monday night, the Planning Commission did send out a notice to the residents of Green Valley explaining what was proposed. Just judging from some of the emails that I've received today, I think there's a misunderstanding that this was going to be a regular thoroughfare, and as I understand it, that is not the case.
As I recall too, as well, you said that the point was that this will be a locked driveway or exit pathway, and only the police or fire can open it.
Yes, Council President, that it was only police and fire, but I believe Fire Chief Menifee is on the call.
Yes, he is.
And he could speak to this probably better than I, because this was not something I was involved in.
Okay, Chief, if you want, is there any more you would add to it? I just want us to be clear on everybody before we vote.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Good evening. So this emergency road came about. We got together with the school, and we formed an emergency operation planning committee. We talked about just having a plan in case of certain types of emergencies. And this is one of the things that came out of the meeting, is that if something were to happen at Southfield High, there's only one way in and one way out to get the buses out. Even if I was to have a fire at the high school and I stretch big hoses out there will be no way to get in and out access for the bus. If we have an active shooter or an incident like that, or we have a lockdown, we're actually locking down the whole system. So this emergency use would be used only in emergencies by the police or fire department that we designate as an emergency. This would be an unexpected closure of normal means of entrance or exit from the existing bus yard with it, or unforeseen natural disaster, more like a water main break, tree falling, or things like that. But I think this is very proactive in the collaborations of this emergency operations planning group, that they're looking at in case something like this were to happen, that we wouldn't shut down operations. And we get this from looking at other incidents that have happened across the United States, and how we can actually prepare and do things better. So I am in support of that, but it would only be used in case of emergency. This is not a normal route, or we would have buses traveling through the residents, the streets, in a normal day-to-day operations.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Hi. This is Councilwoman Lenny Taylor. I was in conversation with Dr. Green this morning and several of the residents, and Dr. Green asked me, and the residents asked me, if we would pull this item and bring it back next week, because she wanted the opportunity to talk with the residents, and they wanted an opportunity to hear what we heard just now. And in addition, she wanted to be able to answer questions that they may have had. So they asked me if we would please postpone or pull this from the consent agenda until our next meeting Monday.
Okay. So the residents as well as the superintendent wanted this?
That is correct.
All right. Well, if there's no objections from council, I don't have a problem with that. We can pull it and go forward with the rest of the consent agenda. We can put it on our next regular meeting.
Thank you.
Council President Pro Tem.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve consent agenda items A, B, D, E, and F.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by Ms. Morris, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we approve consent agenda items A, B, D, E, and F. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. President,
We
Oh,
have,
yes.
what about the other options on the other items on the
Yeah.
consent agenda?
yeah,
Oh, we're just looking at those.
All right, I was just looking
That's
at,
right. We were just, we got to go through K.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm remake the motion. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the slide. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve agenda items, consent agenda items A, B, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K.
Now I'll support.
And you'll stay on that support. Okay, so we'll come back with that one then. So we got a motion by Ms. Morris, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we approve consent agenda items A, B, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K. All right. Is there anything else before we vote? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
yes,
Hoskins,
yes,
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
All consent agenda items approved with the exception of item C.
Okay. And it's noted that this will come back to our next, that item C will come back to our next scheduled meeting. Regular meeting, I should say.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Mandelbaum.
Before we move on to the next portion of our meeting, I've gotten a few text messages from some residents who are trying to call in for either public hearing or public comment, and they're confused and I guess having some trouble. Would the clerk mind giving out the instructions for those people?
Madam Clerk, I think we have, they're on top of, they're at the heading of the agenda. I know that much.
Yes, and I gave that information out, and I guess they're still having some trouble. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, we can probably work with that as we go through the site plan. There is no public hearing tonight, so let's see if we can rectify that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Spence, you got one site plan for us?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Council, Mayor Seibert, and Administration. The next item on your agenda is the site plan PSP 20-0007. This is the site plan review request of DEMS Development on behalf of the owner, Losser Holdings LLC. The proposal is for some exterior facade changes to the existing building, as well as redevelopment of an existing truck well, shipping receiving area, and approval for a 211-car parking lot, which would be held in land bank until such time as that particular parking lot is needed. Property is located at 26555 Northwestern Highway. We are on the southwest corner of Losser Road and Northwestern Service Drive. Next slide, please. So this kind of gives you a general location of the existing building. Next slide, please. And then a little closer look at the property itself. You can see Northwestern Highway along the northern portion, Losser Road along the east side. Next slide. Current zoning is ERO, Education Research Office, and future land use is office research for the site. Next slide, please. Existing conditions of the building. So this is actually the north-facing portion of the building, so we're along Northwestern Highway here. Next slide, please. And then this is a proposed site plan. As I noted, there are a number of things that are being proposed on this site. And if we can go to the next slide. Site plan and landscape plan. And then the next slide, then we'll start to get into more detail. So on the western portion of the building, actually would be like the southwest corner, there are a couple of things that are being proposed. The first is the existing loading area, widen out the loading dock, as well as some brand new overhead doors. They are also making some revisions to the existing barrier-free spaces, just to make it more accessible. for those who will be using those spaces. Next slide, please. With regard to additional items, there are some additional ADA spaces in the parking lot that we wanted to make sure were perfectly accessible. So some brand new sidewalks were installed with a common entry point and a walkway striped across the driveway to the main walkway to the building. With regard to the land bank spaces, they're showing a proposal for 211 new parking spaces. However, they don't need those parking spaces at this time. So what they are looking for is an approval of a land bank area. We had them show it on the plan so that we can make sure that they are actually able to put in all these parking spaces. They do meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance with the proper aisle widths for driveways, as well as the proper widths and sizes for parking spaces themselves. So again, this particular area currently is all green space, it's all lawn. So it would stay lawn until such time as the petitioner needed those parking spaces. At that time, they would be constructed, and then the landscaping that was shown on the previous, on the slide a couple slides ago, would then be installed at that time. Next slide, please. From an exterior standpoint, this is the rendering that the petitioner is proposing. It is the brand new facade to the existing building. Next slide, please. Interior rendering. Next slide, please. And then the types of exterior finishes that they're looking at, from the insulated glass to the black spandrel, the blue tile that's being proposed, as well as a brand new color scheme on the outside. Next slide, please. With that, I do know that we have the petitioner, Mr. Ryan Dems, on the phone, as well as his associates, Glenn Jones, and then Tracy Sweeney. And with that, that is the planning department's comments for now.
Okay, would any of the petitioners like to speak or add anything to this before council goes to questions?
So this is Ryan Dems. Not really. I mean, I think we've made the presentation a few times, and again, we're just real excited about this project. We're real excited about how it came out, and I think at this point we're just here to answer any questions.
Okay, well, I'm gonna turn to my council and start with Ms. Taylor. Do you have any questions for the group, for these individuals?
No, as was stated, we've vetted this very well. We've heard from the petitioner several times, and all of our questions have been answered. So I have no questions. So, and welcome again to Southfield, and we look forward to being partners with you in all of your endeavors here, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Madam Pro Tem?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mandelbaum?
No questions for me. I think this is a great plan, so I wish the petitioner luck and hope everything goes well. Mazel tov.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. Mr. Hoskins?
No questions for me. Just welcome to Southfield.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brightwell?
No questions for me, and I'm glad to have you in the city, and I'm glad to see this property rehabilitated. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Ms. Banks?
No questions from me. Welcome to our great city. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I concur with the rest of the council as well. Anyone else on the line? Mr. Mayor, anyone else want to speak to this before we move on? All right, Mr. Spence, anything else you need from us right now?
Only, sir, that there's a resolution in your packet. The planning department is recommending favorable approval for this particular project, subject to the conditions as they are listed.
Okay, well, council, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Brightwell. I make a motion that we accept the recommendations as submitted by the planning department.
Support. Councilwoman Morris.
Okay, it's been Moved by Mr. Brightwell, supported by Mr. Morris, that we approve the site plan for label PSP 20-0007 for Morelli Dems HED. Is there any other comments or questions? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Banks. Banks.
Yes.
Brightwell.
Yes.
Haskins.
Yes.
Vandermal.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Site plan PSP 20-0007 adopted.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, we're looking forward to it.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mandelbaum, do you know if the folks that have been texting you, are they able to chime in yet?
I haven't heard anything since.
No, they have not been able to. They did text me. This is Councilwoman Taylor. Could you please just, Madam Clerk, if you wouldn't mind, please just giving the phone number out and the instructions as to what they could do, please?
The instructions for the public comment is 1-415-655-001, and the access code is 129-617-8172. If you are calling from your phone, press *3 to be recognized, and I am going to unmute individuals that may want to be recognized that are in our attendee list right now.
Can we scroll the screen back up to the first page so people can see it on TV?
Yes, it's on your public comment too. If you move forward, Renee, to the public comment page, it's on there as well. Right there at the bottom.
Oh, yep, sure is.
So I'll unmute the individuals under the attendee list right now to see if anybody here is for public comment, and then we'll wait to see if it's anybody else. Everyone is unmuted right now under the attendee list. If you wanted to speak during public comment, this is your opportunity.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, my name is Karen Ledford, and I did have a public comment to make. My address is 18756 Capitol Drive, 48045. No, 75. I wanted to speak to the procedure as far as appointing individuals to the planning commission. I'm not concerned about who you appointed. I think that Dr. Gunn is, she served the community and she's worked here excellently. But I'm concerned about the individual who was not reappointed to the commission. Now, she has more expertise and experience in the area of planning, community planning, urban planning, a doctoral degree in urban planning, site development, housing experience, and I can go on and on. I'm sure the council members and everyone has her resume. I think that in this day and time, we want to be a progressive city, so we need to seek out the most qualified individuals to serve on our commission. And I know that it's at the pleasure of the mayor, but some of these commission positions, the applicants should be vetted, and the best individual should be appointed. And I know it may be too late to do anything about it right now, but I think it's something that the council needs to look into, because anyone who is responsible for earmarking where millions of dollars of funds are going to be allotted to, they should be held accountable to the community and the residents. And I really think that the council, like I said, it may be too late, but I think that we really need to seek out the most qualified individuals. And I think that the lack of the other individual not being appointed is it's a disservice to our city. We're losing out on someone who has the knowledge and the experience, and they're doing it as on a volunteer basis that the commissioners serve. So I'm just really disappointed in the mayor and the council. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And I'm unmuting anyone else that may want to speak. Anyone else on the line want to speak for public comment?
Yes. The lack of the other individual not being appointed. Yes.
Go ahead.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Barely.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Turn the volume down, babe.
Oh, well, that's easy to say.
Can you hear us? Because we're having a lot of difficulty hearing.
We can hear the previous speaker in your background. Can you please cut it down?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I can go?
You can go right ahead.
Good evening. Gerard Mullen, Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037. Mr. President, tonight I would like to talk about Section 11.18. 11.18 in the Southfield City Charter. Section 11.18 is entitled Amendments. 11.18 describes how to amend the Southfield City Charter in one easy step. Sad to say, 11.18's one easy step conflicts with the not so easy two-step state law, aka the Michigan Home Rule Act, thus making Section 11.18 and the Southfield City Charter null and void. Yes, you heard me right. Null and void. 11.18 became null and void when the Southfield authors of 11.18 tried to adapt the Michigan Home Rule Act into the Southfield City Charter. That's when the second step in a two-step process got deleted. State law mandates that there be two required steps, not one, but two. Two steps to amend the charter. Step number 1. The Southfield City Council must first pass with 5 votes a proposed charter amendment. And then step number 2. The Southfield voters must pass by ballot election the aforementioned proposed charter amendment. But unfortunately, 11.18 deletes altogether step number 2, the ballot election. And in doing so, 11.18 disenfranchises the Southfield voter. That's you and I. In a word, you folks here on this city council need to fix Section 11.18 along with the many other flawed sections in the Southfield City Charter by creating a charter commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Are you looking for the next speaker for communications?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Pamela Gerald, and good evening to council and all of the residents that are listening. I just wanted to make some housekeeping notes. I thank the mayor for his 19th amendment and the display of that amendment in our lobby. But I want to make sure in celebrating the 100th anniversary of the women's suffrage movement that we don't neglect to include Ida B. Wells and Marie Terrell somewhere in that proclamation and the display. Oftentimes, Black women and their contributions are not included in the women's suffrage movement because our rights were not given to us based on that movement to vote. It came several years later. So I just want to be mindful of that. The last time we celebrated Juneteenth in the city of Southfield was June 19th of 2010, and it was an event that I organized for the National Congress of Black Women and the Southern Oakland County NAACP at the time, and it was a very, very nice event. So I'm happy that this is something that's going to become a part of the Southfield history. And also, too, I wanted to just make a comment. When we purchased Northland in 2015, and we knew at a later date that Amazon wanted to come and put their distribution center in Northland, we had several members of the city council that said it didn't fit with the vision. They wanted amusement park rides, waterfalls, houses, restaurant, apartments, condos, and all of that, which is great for a visionary plan, but it's not realistic. This is prime property. The city failed to allow Amazon to get their distribution center in that location. Amazon comes again, and they're looking for a location for their corporate headquarters. Once again, their corporate headquarters does not fit with the master plan or the vision plan for Northland and this prime piece of property. So they take the distribution center to Livonia, to a General Motors plant, and they don't ask for a tax abatement or a brownfield. They went to New York for their corporate headquarters. AOC, she stopped that. Then we have a member of our city administration on a committee to try to get the headquarters for Northland the headquarters for Amazon to Detroit, and it didn't work. We missed an opportunity because Detroit got the project, and all of you should be ashamed of yourselves.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President, we will wait another minute to see if we have anyone else that will be participating in communications this evening.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President, we are all set. Thank you, sir.
All right. Communications is now closed. We'll move to council. We'll start with Madam Pro Tem Morris. Anything this evening?
Thank you. Yes. In regards to the joint resolution presented by the mayor regarding the 19th Amendment, yes, the women's suffrage movement helped change American democracy with the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote, and we do commemorate this centennial anniversary. I just thank God for the women before me who, through their advocacy and bravery and determination, fought for me and all women to have equal rights and privileges as men for the right to vote. But we are mindful of the deliberate efforts taking place as we speak to take away our voting rights and destroy our democratic values as a nation. So I just want to encourage everybody, because it's real easy right now to become overwhelmed or disengaged with the political process. I just want to encourage everybody to stay engaged and remain steadfast and committed to making a difference with your vote. If you are concerned with the Postal Service, bring your ballot to the clerk's office or drop it off in the drop box at City Hall. This is why it's so important that we bring back primary voting to the city of Southfield in November, because your voice and your vote matters. Thank you. That's all I have this evening.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. President, we did have an individual that was having some technical difficulties that just was able to get on for public comment.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. 1 second. Do we have a caller ready to speak? Caller number 15?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm kind of new to this thing. Okay, my name is Shondell Daniel. I stay on Green Valley. I just wanted to comment real quick about the easement that they're putting in, and just to have some clarification that we are understanding that it's not going to be a regular thoroughfare where people just, coming through. We understand they're talking about putting a gate there and everything, so that's not, it's not a misunderstanding from the people I talk to. It's more, we wouldn't like for our neighborhood to be disrupted, by them tearing down the wooded area, by them putting a fence there. People can hop the fence, folks can it's just wildlife we have over here. So we kind of like it the way it is. I understand that they want to make a emergency access road, but I feel like they need to find other avenues and just try to figure it out. Furthermore, we just found out about this Friday, like late when the mail came, and now they're having which they took it off the agenda, which I appreciate that, but we wouldn't have called, we wouldn't have known anything about it. So to me, it's kind of like a rush to try to just get this thing done, and without telling the folks that's actually affected by it. I personally would prefer that we, one of my neighbors is going to try to get the information from, I think her name was Jennifer Green, the superintendent, who was very nice, and she's going to try to forward the information to my neighbor, so now my neighbor has the responsibility of going around and notifying everybody, which I feel is kind of like, somebody's dropping the ball on that. I would prefer we get a couple weeks and then we get time to notify everybody and have a meeting, before it gets back on the agenda with you guys, and maybe you can, revisit it after the meeting. So those are my comments, and I'm waiting for the email to come tomorrow from Ms. Green. But just please consider that it's not just, a road. I know it's a road with a gate, but I used to hop fences when I was young, so that's not like, it's nothing people can get over, and it's just so quiet, on this block. Is one of the reasons why I personally moved over here. Just consider the people that actually live on this street and not just somebody who's here from 9 to 5 or whatever it is that they have. That's all I want to say.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So we'll go back to council. Ms. Taylor?
No, I don't have anything really tonight. I know that's unusual for me, but I do want to say that I appreciate the resolutions that's been presented tonight. Thank you for all of that. And I just wanted to remind people how important it is to vote. Don't let anything stop us. No matter what we have to do, it's very important that we vote, and especially this year. And just be safe. I want to thank everybody that's out there on the front lines taking care of us and keeping us safe due to this pandemic, and just remind everybody to wear a mask, wash their hands, and social distance. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Banks?
Thank you. I concur with everything that my colleagues have just said, and I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Brightwell?
Yes, I have a couple items. With respect to the access road, if Terry or Jeff Spence is still around, I know the city sent out a notice last week with respect to public education. I would like for them to ask the school board to send out something also under their head, under their letterhead, that about this particular road, because as I mentioned last week, when individuals see construction, that automatically give homeowners nervousness. So I would ask that the school board also send out a notice of what is going on. And obviously we will discuss it again next week, but the fact that the city was able to get out a notice real quick that as they indicate that the school board can perhaps do the same. The other thing that I have is, and if, as you know, periodically I will make comments about veteran issues that come across my desk. And just recently I got something that dealt with Air Force guys who served from 1969 to 1987, and they flew on the C-123 aircraft. And if you were an Air Force person and you flew on that particular plane, you perhaps you can register for Agent Orange type diseases with the VA. So please follow up with your local VA office and get on that registry and just notify them that you were flying on that particular aircraft between 1969 and 1986. That's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you. That's it. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm done. Thanks.
All right. We got Mr. Hoskins.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I will simply reiterate what my colleague said about voting, and that we are living in a very interesting year. Year I never thought. One of the things we have to fight for is stopping a president from taking away the post office, but here we are. I would simply highly recommend that when the ballots are available, if you are able to, definitely go into the clerk's office and drop your ballot off there, fill out your ballot and drop it off there. We definitely need people to be a part of this election. I saw last week that 6,400 ballots had to be disqualified because they got to clerk's offices late. And in the last election, the person who won our state only won it by 10,000 votes. So your participation in our election this year is vital, and you have to do everything you can. Get your plan ready now to go out to the poll, go out to the polls or go to the clerk's office. Make sure if you're on the absentee ballot list, the permanent absentee ballot list, or you have to fill out your application. Make sure if you have to, if you can, go get your ballot, go fill out your application and hand it in to the clerk as opposed to mailing it. And please vote in November. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Mandelbaum.
Yes, thank you. I also echo what my colleagues have said, and just want to remind people that, to not always trust what you read on social media. Today, I saw a lot of things about Southfield's ballot boxes and mailboxes and other misinformation just on social media. So, please, if you do have any questions about the election, about absentee ballots, please call the clerk's office. They are more than happy to answer any questions. And please don't rely on what you see on social media, especially if it's not related to some type of news outlet. People are just posting stuff out there, and some of the things just don't make any sense. And again, it was stated earlier, but please remember to wear masks, stay socially distant. A recent conversation I've had with people in the medical field in Southfield have started to see an uptick in cases, especially in our area. So this is not over yet. So, please make sure that you're taking all the precautions necessary. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I would just add I echo everything everyone said too, but just also want to just remind people that the county is still doing COVID testing for free by appointment. So if you go to the website at oak.gov, you can get an appointment and they'll get your results back to you. I've been there 3 times already. They're pretty efficient. It only takes a few minutes. And they'll call you back directly with your results. So, especially for those that might have some type of pre-existing condition, it would be good to kind of monitor it a little bit more often, maybe than some others. But that is available through the county still. All right, moving on, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, good evening once again. Couple of comments that I'd like to add. The display for the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the adoption of the 19th Amendment does prominently include Mary Church Terrell and Ida B. Wells. While many Caucasian women were at the forefront of this, there were many African American women who were also fighting for the right to vote as well as better conditions. Secondly, there is, as we know from the news, there's quite a lot of concern is being expressed about the post office and removal or closing blue boxes where people can drop their mail, as well as we're told sorting equipment has been removed. So there is, if anyone wants to express their concern, tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. At the Old Redford Post Office, there is a planned protest. If anyone is interested in joining that, and again, that address is 22503 Grand River, tomorrow afternoon outside the Old Redford Post Office from 4 to 6 p.m. Next week is Southfield Restaurant Week. That's being presented by the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce. There are a number of restaurants participating this year. It includes lunch, dinner, and family specials. The participating restaurants are Great Lakes Culinary Center, Baco, Beans and Cornbread, Taste of Ethiopia, Ashat's Pies, Uncle Joe's Chicken Fingers, Saucy Crab, Cola Lounge, Jay Bird's Rotisserie and Grill, Fuddruckers, Big Boy, Nomad Grill, Benito's Pizza, Southfield Nutrition, Central Park Deli, China Gourmet, and the Southfield Pancake House. The week will also include Monday is Community Day. You can drive by the chamber offices for giveaways, discounts, and an opportunity to support the chamber with a $5 purchase. August 26th, that's Wednesday at noon, there is a nutrition and wellness online event featuring health coach Shaylin Barr. And Friday the 28th from noon, you can experience virtual children's cooking class and read along with the Southfield Public Library. I know I've just said a lot about this, so you can go to the chamber website, info at southfieldchamber.com. For more information. There's also going to be the Ultimate Burger Edible Creations Competition is back. This event, the Taste of Southfield, is not happening this year because of the pandemic, but instead we're not letting that keep us down, so we're promoting Southfield restaurants through this event, Southfield Restaurant Week, starting on the 24th of August through the entire week. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Is our administrator still on with us?
Yes,
Oh.
I am, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay.
Couple comments. Under the agenda, we had listed peace poles. Within your packet, you had schematic renderings of both elevations and a landscape site plan. Just this evening, the purchasing department finished up specifications. We are going out for bid on the project. I will be in front of council the next meeting, regarding an update where we're at on bidding and obtaining a price, as well as a discussion regarding the budget adjustment. The anticipated expenditure at this time is less than 15,000. More information is forthcoming. We are looking and hoping to have an installation, between the 10th and 15th of September is our target date. Want to comment at the July 27th meeting, there was a zoning amendment which allowed the Parks and Rec Department to do rentals at the Berg. In particular, we discussed the Simmons House and a lease to Crime Stoppers. I want to let council know that Crime Stoppers is elected to stay in their current location, and the administration and Parks and Rec staff we're evaluating other options, but the action that council took does allow us to pursue a revenue stream for that project. If you drive by the Thompson farmhouse, you may see some wood replacement. There was a small amount of dollars left in the community development block grant barn project. The site had an environmental clearance from HUD, so those remaining dollars were used to make some board replacements around the windows. Stay forth, the administration will probably be bringing some additional items regarding the restoration of the Thompson farmhouse. The body cameras within the police department are scheduled to be up and running August 31st of this year. Fire department is moving the department to computer tablets, which is kind of exciting, just enhances their productivity. The building department continues to move more of the department to online permitting, which has been a long-term goal, and I'm pleased that we are making progress. I want to thank council for your patience there. Just a comment on Northland. I'd like to remind people that we did, acquisition may have started 5 years ago, but real control over the site probably did not happen to late fall of 18. Once we settled the issues with the J.C. Penney's and the parking and acquired the Massini's building. Regarding Amazon and logistics, warehousing, logistics, and trucking, nowhere in any of the communities visioning did anyone indicate that warehousing, logistics, and trucking was the vision for that site. And we continue to pursue the vision and try to get as close to it as what was envisioned by the community. So we ask for patience, and there are some good, exciting things happening in that arena. That's all I have tonight, Mr. President. Thank you.
Madam Attorney? Mr. King, are you on? Sure, I saw you on there.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, good
Just on
evening.
you. All right.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Last week at the City Council meeting, the Committee of the Whole, we discussed amending our vendor ordinance to include specific language addressing mobile food vending. And there was a consensus to move this forward. So tonight I'm asking that, as I introduce it, that Council would approve this ordinance.
Okay. And that is, so she want us to introduce, what's this ordinance for the mobile food vending.
We need to, Mr. President, we need to, the proposed ordinance to amend first and then introduce.
And then introduce. All right, council. Any
Mr. President?
questions? Yeah, Mr. Mandelbaum.
No, I was going to make the motion if that was okay.
As long as there aren't any questions from council.
Good question.
Go right ahead. Go, Mr. Mandelbaum.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we amend the vendor ordinance to include mobile food vending food trucks.
Support.
Councilwoman Morris.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Ms. Morris, that we approve the proposed ordinance to amend the vendor ordinance to include mobile food vending, i.e. food trucks. Are there any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
yes. Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Proposed ordinance to amend the vendor ordinance to include mobile food vending food trucks adopted.
All right,
Mr. President,
Mr. Mandelbaum.
I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 1728.
Support. This is Councilwoman Taylor.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Ms. Taylor, that we introduce ordinance 1728. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell.
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 1728 adopted.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Is there anything from, oh, we have some ordinance, anything from the clerk's office?
Yes, a few items. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of things. There was some conversation about ballot boxes. We have requested ballot boxes from the state of Michigan. They have not given us a return date as to when we will receive them, but we're hoping to receive them over the next month or so. The initial ballot box will be on city property, and we will try to get more in other places within the community with security provisions with that. So this is new because of the Proposal 3 being enacted back in 2018. So just to give you guys some insight to what we're looking like for November, currently we have estimated of 25,000 ballots that have been requested for the November election, which will more than likely be sent out the latter part of September. We are telling people, if you have not received your ballot by the first week, the ending of the first week in September, a full week of October, to give us a call so we can make provisions if you want to come in and we'll spoil that initial ballot and get you another ballot. We definitely want to treat the United States Post Office. You want to treat your ballot as if it takes 2 weeks to travel. So we are encouraging those to, if you at all can, you can come into the office and request an absentee ballot, and you can bring it back in our current ballot boxes at the front that we share with the Treasury Department that's attached to the front of the building. And hopefully within the next 30 days, we'll also have additional ballot boxes. Lastly, too, we did have a couple people had questions about ballots returning late. Currently, as the Michigan election law stipulates, that any ballot received after 8 p.m. on election night cannot be counted. So there were a couple questions. As of right now, as of today, we've received 150 ballots that were received after the cutoff for election day. So we are encouraging those not to mail your ballot back at the last minute. You should treat election day as if it was 2 weeks before the election, which would actually be October the 20th. You want to give that much time in the traveling of the mailing system. And I will say I did speak with the postmaster. None of our mailboxes throughout the city have been removed. There was some rumors that they were being removed. That has not happened at all in the city of Southfield. So I wanted to make sure that the residents was fully aware of that. And we do have a great relationship with our postmaster. She's been a great stakeholder for us, and we actively communicate on a weekly basis with her. So thank you.
All right, thank you. It's excellent information. And we know it's going to be a high voter turnout this year. So as soon as you can get them in, I think the better. Does Mr. Lowenberg, Treasurer's Office?
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to put a reminder out to the public, the tax deadline coming up on August 31st, and the deferment program that's available, but make sure to please get those applications in. The deadline for the deferment is actually by September 14th, but start the process early, so in case we need additional information, we can get it taken care of. And that allows people who are 62 years of age or older, the veterans and disabled people with household incomes of 40,000 or below to get a deferment to allow them to make partial payments anytime up until the end of February. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anything from the planner's office? Mr. Spence?
Nothing this evening, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anything from the assessor's office? Engineer's office? All right. Very good. We have 3 ordinances that we need to approve. And just for clarification, Madam Clerk, can we approve these all in one motion, or do we have to do them all individually?
We can enact all of them in one motion. Just clearly state the number of the ordinance that you're enacting.
All right, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion for approval of 3 ordinances.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilman Brightwell. I'd like to make a motion that we enact ordinance number 1725, ordinance number 1726, and ordinance number 1727.
Okay.
Support. Support. This is Councilwoman Taylor.
Yes, okay. Been moved by Mr. Brightwell, supported by Councilwoman Taylor, that we approve ordinances number 1725, 1726, and 1727. Are there any questions or comments before we vote? All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Banks?
Yes.
Brightwell?
Yes.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ordinances 1725, 1726, and 1727 have been enacted.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anything else council has before we go into closed session?
Council President?
Yes, Ms. Banks.
Thank you. Just for clarification, please, the peace pole installation, that will be coming back at our next committee of the whole meeting for discussion with the whole council. I saw the slides online. I had some questions, and I believe I heard the city administrator say it was coming back. I thought we were going to discuss it tonight. So can we discuss it at the next committee of the whole meeting?
Yes, we can. Is that right with Fred? I mean, we can discuss it at whatever meeting we like to. We do want to get it done ASAP. So I wouldn't like it to go any further than the next meeting. So.
Or I don't care, not unless you want to discuss it tonight. But I thought there would be some discussion on it because I found some of the slides confusing.
Okay. No, I think that's okay. Fred,
Yeah.
No problem, right?
No problem. It was my intent to bring it back. We don't have the bid information. The bid specifications have just been completed. And we need to propose a budget. If there are any questions regarding the design, though, I would like to hear those comments, if we may, Mr. President. Or even if as you're looking at, if there's something that someone has, I'd rather know that now prior to bidding that out.
Okay. Council President, would you like me to ask the questions or wait till the next meeting?
Are they major? Are they things that are going to be a significant difference to them? I mean, like for instance, is like the height or shape of the pole, the languages on it, stuff like that, or?
Well, I just have some questions regarding the languages. Yes.
Okay.
So
Go right ahead.
okay, thank you. I know that a survey was taken, and I thought it was going to come back before the entire council to discuss what the outcome was. But if I'm reading this correctly, there are going to be 4 sides to the peace poll, and there will be 2 languages on each side. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then the fourth slide says that it's optional to display the language that is written. Example, the Spanish language, Arabic language, Japanese. And I personally think it's important to have the title of what the language is. Of course, I would assume everyone could read the American, but they may not know what the Swedish writing is or the Russian writing is. And on this slide, it says optional. So is that something that we can include?
I would need to put that question to Mr. Crode, who put this information together. I think it does help the viewer to know what language he or she is looking at.
Yeah, I agree too. I agree that.
Well, yeah, and and if you look on the first 3 slides, they're not identified. You just see, you could say language or scribbles, right? So the one slide, like I said, it does say optional. So I just thought it was important that it be identified.
Yep.
And then the last slide, right before the flowers, I'm assuming that's not how it's going to look, because it just has one language going down where it says, "May peace prevail on earth." There'll be another language underneath it.
On the other sides of it. Let's see. Let me pull up what slides you're looking at.
1, 2. Well, then if it's on the sides, we don't have enough room. So that's why, like I said, this was confusing. If you go to the pictures right above the city attorney, where the purple flowers are, and the pocket full of gold, you'll see on the left-hand side, "May peace prevail on earth," and there's nothing below it. So if you go to the slides above, you've got 2 languages.
Okay, I see where you're
Do you see what I'm saying? And these slides aren't marked. So I want to say it's the 3rd of the 4th slide where the actual language translation is above.
Yes, yeah, it's the very first one.
No, the 3rd slide.
No, I meant the first poll to the left.
No, it would be the 3rd poll. There, it's a circle. It says optional.
Yes. So the desire is to include the optional. It looks like the one it says Portuguese, then the language, however one would say, "May peace prevail on earth."
Correct. And then whatever language is below that, identify that language. I'm assuming that's Greek underneath Portuguese.
It does look Greek. We so the desire is to identify the language as they show in option 3 in that cutout circle.
Correct.
We can
Right.
certainly do that. Yep.
So that being said, then we don't have to have it in English on every pole. I mean, we don't have to have "May peace prevail on earth" on one full side on every one, because we're going to identify the languages on all the other sides, on all the other poles.
That's correct. So before each language starts, we'll identify the language.
Either before or after, either way, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
But even this is Councilman Mandelbaum, even in the diagram where it says what language would be on each pole, only one pole has English anyway.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think that will probably be our main one that we'll have.
That is on pole number 1, Mr. President. The diagram, pole 1 is English, Swahili, Hebrew, Armenian, Spanish, Arabic, Japanese, and Italian. So before each of those, we'll identify the language, Spanish, Arabic, Japanese. You'll go Spanish, then it'll be presented in Spanish, Arabic. So we will exercise that option above each, before proceeding each of the languages, or the script for the languages. Poll 2 is Korean, Mandarin, Hindi, Russian, French, German, Finnish, Swedish. Poll 3 is Caledonian, Bengali, Portuguese, Greek, Aramaic, Polish, Vietnamese, and then sign language.
So
I think it looks nice.
Mr. Chair, Fred, Mr. Chair, I know Terry's probably perhaps not on. Can you tell me how many people responded to this? I know I responded, and I think and a couple others.
I responded.
Okay, because I was trying to get a population. How many responded to that survey Terry sent out?
I don't know the exact count.
Okay.
But I do know the count put us over one poll.
Okay.
Because originally we were starting with one poll. Then we took a look at the most popular languages on the planet, our business community, what council had said, and the planner said if you have one, the rule of 3, you want your eye to move between 3 objects, not 2.
Okay. No problem. I like this idea, and I like the fact that it's inclusive, but with respect to the world languages. So I think it does a good job identifying who we are as a city. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, I think as I recall, Tiny, I don't know if you recall that the emails when they were coming back around. I know it was a majority of everybody. I think pretty much everybody responded.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on that?
No, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. No, good questions though. I mean, just want to be clear on it. So once we get it in the ground, we kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to make any change. That's why I thought we were talking about it tonight, and I wanted to bring it forward before we adjourn. So thank you for recognizing me.
All right. Anything else before we go into closed? Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we go into closed session.
All right.
Support, Councilwoman Morris.
All right. It's been moved by Mr. Brightwell, supported by Ms. Morris, that we go into closed session. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Haskins,
Yes. Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Motion to go into closed session adopted.
All right. We will now go into closed session.